Hi there. It's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And, come check us out. Lots of great things always happening, especially during this fall season. Lots of fun things. But the reason I'm doing this video is I want to do a review of the remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, uh, released today on Hulu. I just finished it. And yeah, I knew that I was gonna uh, watch it as soon as I could and review this movie uh, for you guys. And the reason why is because the original movie uh, was so iconic in the early 1990s. Um, the movie came out, and it was sort of it sort of ushered in the era of the Psycho Bitch movie. Now, there were some movies that came before, uh, of course, and even some soap opera type stuff going on. We had, um, before The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, there was Fatal Attraction with Glenn Close, uh, which was sort of inspired in a way by a Clint Eastwood movie back in the 70s called, um, what was it called? Play Misty for Me. And even going back even further, there was the Marilyn Monroe movie. I forget the name of it. Um, maybe Don't Knock Twice or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But Don't Knock or Don't Knock Twice, something. But it was Marilyn Monroe in a hotel. And she became obsessed with another hotel guest in that movie. And yeah, Anne Bancroft was in it as well. And so, yeah. Um, but the one that really ushered in these, what they call the Psycho Bitch movies. I don't know if that was the official term for it, but yeah, it was. Uh, kind of loosely, like even at the, yeah, even at the, I think it was the Academy Awards that year. They did the Village People did a song. I think it was the Village People. They did a song called "Psycho Bitch," and it was like a parody of their Macho Man. So it's kind of cool. That's where I kind of got the idea of calling these Psycho Bitch movies. I know that bitch is not a good term for, but anyway, you know, sorry about that. It was before the era of political correctness. But anyway, uh, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Hulu, the remake. Okay. Um, it was an interesting enough movie. On its own, it would have been kind of an okay standalone uh, TV level. It would have been the level of a TV movie of the week kind of thing. It wouldn't. It doesn't hold up uh, to the original. The Annabella Sciorra, I think, was the lead, and of course Rebecca De Mornay as the character of Peyton. Uh, and in the original, she was the wife of a doctor who, the mother of the family, was the first to accuse the doctor of basically molesting her during a pregnancy exam, and and then of course the doctor took his own life when other women stepped forward and he was going to lose everything. And the wife, played by Rebecca De Mornay, uh, targets Annabella Sciorra. I'm stumbling over that name, to basically just let her know, hey, uh, you know, you ruined my life, and I'm here to take over yours. So, uh, and it's yeah, it's an outstanding movie. Julianne Moore as the best friend, and Ernie Hudson uh, uh, did a great performance in that. Um, One of the best acting jobs that I've ever seen anywhere was from Ernie Hudson in that movie. Uh, Not so much him playing um, a developmentally challenged individual, but the way that he reacted and the subtlety of his performance was great. He really should have gotten uh, more notice for that. Uh, Probably would have had he not been. Uh, well, yeah. If this had been a different genre, if he had been acting in a different genre of a movie, he would have gotten more notice. But that was um, yeah, his performance was great in there. Um, but what takes the cake is the performance of Rebecca De Mornay in that original movie. And prior to this, I didn't mention Guiding Light uh, with the soap opera, the daytime serial, had a character called Winter, and she was the first character that I witnessed that would be like the female stalker go mad kind of thing. Uh, and that was a big thing. And she was played by another character up until like 2 or 3 days before the character was to be written off, and then they kind of switched it, and so they brought in the character, the actress to fill in the character, and she kind of chased around a character named April in a television studio. Uh, because they worked in a television studio, and so basically, um, she was almost reenacting the end of the Friday the 13th movie, almost, which was Betsy Palmer chasing around Adrienne King in that movie. But anyway, I'd be remiss in my influences if I didn't, if in talking about the influences, if I didn't talk about that character of Winter. But we get to Rebecca De Mornay, and yeah, yeah, so iconic in her performance. We don't get that in the remake. It's not a straightforward remake. What they did, instead of the husband being Michael, he is Miguel, which I don't mind the whatever that he's a Mexican husband or whatever. I don't care about that. He actually does well, but it's not plausible that your wife. First off, I think her suspicion in this sequel, the woman playing the wife, and I don't even know who. They're so unmemorable, these performances. I don't know who the actors and actresses are. I mean, they're not people that I know that are really going to rise to superstardom. But uh, I mean, they do a credible enough job. I think the problem is the script, the story itself. It begins. We're watching a house fire, and we're watching a little girl outside looking at a house fire, and then we skip uh, several years into the future, our current time, and there is. I guess she's working as an attorney or some sort of pro bono community agency or whatever, and she's working with the girl at a table who is having trouble dealing with her landlord, and so she's giving some pro bono advice, and that's how they meet. And then, of course, seemingly by happenstance, they meet around a farmer's market. Again, just a casual bump into each other, and there's the family and everything. And she just happens to mention, I am in childcare. Should you need, uh, any sort of assistance in that area? And so they start using her as a part-time nanny. and everything's okay. It's and then they meet the the friend of the family that was in the original was Julianne Moore, and this time it's a guy. Uh, I forget his name or whatever, but it's so yeah. Uh, he's not the see Julianne Moore was a hard edged woman in the hand that rocks the cradle, and he is uh, clever and onto the nanny suspiciously about what's going on, but he doesn't play the character as mean. Uh, One thing I don't like about the remake that I just finished watching is that they seem to play into a almost a uh, bisexual or lesbian kind of a sapphic phobia. You know, uh, you know, it's these things are fine, they're normalized, and this movie is taking a step back from one of the things that sometimes we get a problem with in the movies is the representation of the gay character also being crazy. Like they're not just a character or whatever that happens to be gay. Uh, their homosexuality or bisexuality or whatever is because they're crazy. We kind of get in there was a movie that came out around the same time as The Hand That Rocks the Cradle that came out. It was Single White Female, and there's even though it's not explicit in that movie, there are some subtextual subtext, or you might want to call it overtone. There's some overture, that Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is supposed to be obsessed with having a twin, but there's almost an underlying attraction underneath all that. So it's weird and gets all stirred up, but it's not straightforward and it's not expressed, but it's there. Uh, and in this movie, the remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, it is not. The character formerly known as Peyton is now Polly, and she is, uh, you know, she dates women, um, and you know, uh, but apparently not exclusively, because in the climax of the movie, she's telling uh, the mother of the family, the one, they're squaring off. She's like, "I'm not going to be happy until I'm living your life and I'm in bed with your husband, uh, and raising your children." So but there's no chasing around the house. There's nothing like that. That it's very anticlimactic compared to the movie that came originally that we got in the original. This is an ultra modern glass house, basically. Um, Window. I could never live in a house like that. For one thing, I can barely get the mirrors in my bathroom. I can get them barely get them scot free, uh, and free of lint and fingerprints and everything like that. So I wouldn't imagine trying to live in a house uh, that had that many bay windows or whatever. But anyway, um, they eventually move Polly into the house in this family, and Polly, of course, is the Peyton character. But that it's like and immediately after they move her in, it's like immediately after is when things start to change. And the thing is like the wife becomes suspicious too soon. There's not enough of a build up, so automatically she's considered paranoid. She's had postpartum depression with the first child, and the husband thinks that she's having it this time. This is an accomplished woman who gets a stop sign put in the corner of their street that needs one, and just yeah, it's just not plausible that a woman so rational would come together and you'd be you know so suspicious of the new nanny, even asked the nanny to move out at one point, and then she actually goes because the husband, says, maybe you're a little too rough on her, or maybe we need to bring her back. So they invite her back. This is like, they almost get her, it's just, Polly is doing some things. It's not just a paranoia. It's clear that she, at one point, um, I think she poisons the dinner so that everybody gets food poisoning. That was the night that their friend, uh, the male Julian Moore in this movie, meets the nanny, but they all get sick. They all get food poisoning uh, because of Polly spiking the food. And it's so subtle how she does it. The family's talking and they've stirred and they've turned away. And then she walks up and then she sprinkles whatever she sprinkles into the food and kind of gives it a stir. And then she's like, I think this is getting scorched or whatever. But anyway, they end up eating it. And this mother is like, hey, we're just going to do breast milk. We're not going to do formula. We don't eat sugar. We don't do that and everything. So she's, you know, there's, yeah, there's some subterfuge that's going on, but the motivation is different. She is Polly. She's younger. She is, discovered to have been to have been orphaned, and she was the girl that survived the house fire, and it was set by an older teenage girl who was revealed to be the mother. Uh, and it seems that she set the fire because the father had been hurting her. They say hurting. They don't say molest, but that's implied. I don't know why they don't want to just come out and say what's going on. The father was molesting, raping the older friend of the family, and also the she says, and he was doing it to you too, because she's like, she's uh, yeah. So, uh, but they're squaring off, and the 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 daughter, who's now the nanny, is like hell bent on revenge. But anyway, so the movie's been spoiled for you. I'm so sorry about that, but it's a remake. The only the motivation is different. Um, I think it would have been. Um, I think the first movie more plausible and makes more sense. One of the things that the first movie doesn't quite do, it kind of keeps it close to the vest. It doesn't. You kind of know what's going on, but there's a lot more. Uh, there's a lot more gaslighting that happens in the first movie. In this remake, yeah, the wife is getting paranoid and she's getting twisted, and that's because her medication is being switched for a methamphetamine uh, by the nanny, and it's just everything about the first movie, which is to it's basically uh, to exploit the fear of a housewife or a mother letting someone come in and take over some of those responsibilities. There's a natural trepidation towards that, of having someone come into your home and welcoming them as a nanny and part of the family and everything. It's that's unnerving as it is, and that's what gets explored and exploited in the first movie. There's none of that really in the second movie that goes to that. She's not. It's not that you don't even get the whole like speech that Julianne Moore gave in the first movie, where she actually cites the expression, the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. We get none of that. We don't get that. This movie is the hand that rocks the cradle in title alone, and yeah. Um, Also, it's just there's this implication underneath that the father who molested both of the girls and then both of them grow up to be, uh, you know, bisexual or lesbian or something. It's an implication that molestation is the cause of that, and it's you know. I guess that could be the case. I don't know, but it's not the case. But in this movie, that's the implication, uh, you know, and of sexual ambiguity or confusion or whatever. So I mean, obviously, if someone uh, is molested, it will cause some confusion. That's why we don't do all. It's they're not ready for that. So uh, that's one of the reasons why society frowns on that. But this movie is just not overall. It's just not a good movie. You know, uh, and the fact is the heroine of the movie, the mother, um, she's not such a good person. Uh, she did burn down a house. Uh, she was being molested by the father of the house, but she destroyed an entire family, burned it down, and then, uh, whatever happened, her name changed. She ended up growing up and moving away and so you could sort of almost empathize with why the nanny would want revenge. Except you also feel sorry for the rest of the family that's being targeted, and the best friend who clocks her, who figures everything out, uh, meets his demise with the nasty end of a baseball bat. They never quite say whether or not he. At first, they go visit him in the hospital. He's, but then later on they say, "We're sorry you lost your friend." So, yeah, I guess he died. I don't know. This movie is just not a good movie. What's really not good about it? There's no Ernie Hudson character to really, uh, hang around and get a little suspicious and have to be dealt with. To come back in the last reel to kind of step up, and uh, then there's no chase around the house, uh, and the finale of this movie uh, is also stupid, and yeah, um, I'm rating for this movie. I'm trying to come up with something. Uh, I don't know. I would, and when I rate movies, I rate on how much I would spend. Um, and I'm gonna give this a B. Whereas this is a movie that I would borrow from a library to watch. I would borrow it from a friend. I wouldn't want to pay for it. I wouldn't want to pay anything. I wouldn't want to pay a subscription. I wouldn't want to. It's not that. So I'm just gonna get the B for you can borrow it and check it out. But I wouldn't. Hey, there's the hand that rocks the cradle. So now let me go ahead and subscribe to Hulu just so I could watch this movie. It's not worth that. It's not worth. It's not worth paying a rental fee. It's not worth anything. No. What you need to do if you really want to watch a good movie that's going to really change things, a game changer in movies. And for a while it was. It's kind of tapered off, and we don't really get these movies. They've been relegated to this, that they've been played out so that now they are back to the uh, remake and the movie of the week kind of stuff. And you get those direct to video when we used to have videos. You know, your whatever. It's a subgenre that's been so uh, normalized. You know, but remember when the Hand That Rocks the Cradle came out. After that, we got Single White Female. We got The Crush. Okay, with Alicia Silverstone. We got where's some other ones? Yeah, there were a few of them that came out. We ended up getting the male version, which was Pacific Palisades, uh, which in which Michael Keaton was a tenant who moved in, and then they couldn't get rid of him, and so you know whatever. Uh, but you know, and Rebecca De Mornay became a major player. Did a lot of movies based on the strength of the Hand That Rocks the Cradle. She'd been in some things. She Risky Business. She was, but the one that really gave her a name that you knew who she was the Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So yeah, um, that's a Hand That Rocks the Cradle was a good movie. The only thing that was non plausible in that movie was the way the mother kind of had the asthma, the way that she did the whole asthma thing. You know, I mean, like it's you know she maybe yeah. I mean, they dramatized it and played it up. You know, uh, but we got some erotic thrillers that kind of spun off. You know, uh, Body of Evidence with the Julianne Moore and uh, Madonna and everything like that. So Julianne Moore did a few of these type of movies before she went on to do other parts. You know, when did I really notice Julianne Moore? I did notice her in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I did notice her in these other movies, but I didn't know that she was Julianne Moore until she took over the role of Clarice Starling in Hannibal, uh, which was a sequel to The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which was a sequel to Manhunter, which later got remade as a prequel uh, called Red Dragon, which was the book Red Dragon, but not Manhunter. But yeah, so but the whole Hannibal Lecter thing there. But yeah, Julianne Moore was in Hannibal, and she did some other things, you know. Uh, but you know, um, yeah, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle was uh, was a movie that kind of was a star making vehicle, you know. Uh, the only thing the remake really kind of gets right is they kept the little girl's name Emma. That was the only, you know, and then Michael was Miguel in this movie. And then, you know, Peyton was Polly. They shouldn't have messed with the name. Peyton was is an iconic name, and yeah. Uh, but anyway, uh, Hand That Rocks the Cradle on Hulu, rated B for borrow it. Sure, go for it. And sorry for spoiling it for you, but after a while, these movies all sort of tell the same story anyway. Uh, I don't, like I said, there's some things I didn't care about this. I didn't care for um, the flow of the sexual overtones, the way that they tried to really kind of spin it and subtly, uh, hey, you know, maybe at one point even the girl was trying to talk to the parents, and she's like, you know, I'm having these feelings, and I feel like when I grow up, I don't want to have a husband, I want to have a wife. And the mother is like, it's because of you, talking to the nanny, it's because of you, and maybe you've influenced her, you know. So it's kind of it's that there's a whole phobia of the whole reason why people might develop, you know, they like and that's just not the case. I'm a gay man, and I was a little gay kid when I was a little gay kid. There was no uh, there was no influence. There was no need for influence. I was yeah. I mean, this just yeah. Just I I was who I was, and I became who I am. But it was yeah. It's just yeah. You couldn't have. Uh, you couldn't have directed me or set me down or turned me in any other sort of way. Still couldn't. Yeah, it was just fine. So I didn't care for that. It yeah. It so in a way it almost goes all the way back to hey uh, inclinations uh, these women are uh, now even the wife is like, before I married Miguel, I was dating a woman, and it was like, they're leaning into it as to say it's the result of the molestation or whatever, and I don't really care for that as part of the narrative, and they don't come right out and say that, but they kind of nudge right up against that point, and uh, it's old fashioned, it's archaic, it's been disproven. Uh, there are several people who have who have endured similar things when they were younger, and they do not uh, switch teams, as it were, as a result of those experiences. So that's not, yeah, that's not a plausible cause, But so this movie is exploitive in the wrong kind of ways, Uh, the original is far superior. Um, Parts of this movie, the remake, kind of borderline on offensive uh, in regards to where it wants to go or what it wants to tell, but there's no real graphic, uh, violence. The fight scene at the end isn't even that great. Uh, there's one or two images that have a little bit of gore. That's at one point where uh, the male Julianne Moore gets you know you know comes to a reckoning with the baseball bat, and then of course the finale, the very end of the movie. It's a little bit it's a bit to look at, but other than that, this movie is pretty tame also compared to the original. Um, I suppose if you've never seen the original, you could look at this one and you could say, "Hey, it's an interesting enough movie," but it's not going to be the epic that the hand that rocks the cradle really could have been. You because what this is the hand that rocks the cradle is like the perfect uh, upper middle class family, well to do, la la la, living out the American dream. They do talk about that with the Miguel's parents are on a phone at one point. They're like, "Yeah, living the American dream." So they kind of lead into that. Uh, so they should have nothing to worry about. They should have no worries or fears or concerns. But then this predator moves in, and that is Peyton in the original and Polly in this remake. But this movie's gotten a couple of different pseudo remakes that maybe you might end up on a Lifetime network or something like that. But the definitive movie for this genre was The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. We got uh, this movie kind of inspired, along with, I would say, the original movie, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, along with Misery. Um, they inspired the character of Sheila Carter, who began on The Young and the Restless, And they told her, as the nurse and everything, that they wanted her to emulate. There's nothing that you could do that is wrong. You don't really have a. There's nothing you could do. You can't go too far on this or whatever. And she really did kind of lean into that, and she did become one of the greatest. Her, Stefano Demera, and uh, what's his name, Michael Steinbeck, one of the characters. The three of them, they became like the three big villains of daytime TV, and of those, Sheila Carter is still enduring on The Bold and the Beautiful. I think they're just about to let her go a little. I like her being a kind of a well-intentioned good person. I'm enjoying her uh, reforming. But this show, these writers, they don't know what to do with Sheila Carter if she's not just bonkers. Like they could let her have some trials with love and troubles in the relationship, uh, and fighting and doing things to save her relationship that don't involve shooting or killing or stabbing people. you know when she's a straight villain, she's awesome in that role. But I also love to see Sheila Carter uh, in love and uh, caring about people and wanting good things. So it's uh, yeah. But we are nearing November sweeps, and they are already setting this up. She's separated from her husband on the show, Deacon Sharp, and he is about to, you know, maybe get a little entangled with Taylor Hayes. And of course, uh, she should know better. She already had said she's a little too close to the situation to treat or to counsel uh, Deacon, but then she's already messing up. She's already like giving him a hug in the office, which was seen by Sheila, and Sheila kind of gave her warning. She told Taylor, "I want to thank you for helping, and I hope you can help us work through and stay together. But I'm not going to allow anything or anyone to disrupt my marriage." And she gave that warning. And then that was the last we saw. That was, but yeah, it's about to get a little cray cray over on The Bold and the Beautiful. And we do have Misery, because she was cast as a nurse because of Misery, but ultimately she is television's answer to Rebecca De Mornay in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, as she's the ultimate on the beautiful, Bold and Beautiful, the nanny, the ultimate nanny from hell. So, yeah. Uh, well, she's a little bit too old to be playing the character that goes after other people's babies, to want to take over their life and live with their husbands and raise their children. Um, because she's been around for a while. Um, she's still uh, she's still a fun character to watch, and I really hope that they don't write her into a corner that she can't get written out of. One of the things about Sheila Carter is that she would do some subterfuge and she would get away with it. For the longest time, she was kind of the person who she drove the story for a while on The Bold and the Beautiful. She's the reason why uh, Brooke and Eric didn't know uh, who the father of the baby was. She did a paternity test switching, and uh, she did a lot of she tampered with the belief formula to get it to make it go away, to get it lost, so that she and Ridge would end up spending time together, but also so she could be like out of the way. Uh, so Brooke would be out of the way when so that Sheila and Eric could spend time together. That kind of stuff, the little things like that, And I hope that they get back to that version of Sheila, uh, where she will manipulate, maybe connive, and move things out of her way, but not necessarily have to go around uh, trying to shoot six different people, you know. Uh, but it's November sweeps. I think that we're about to do that. And what does Bold and the Beautiful know how to do with Sheila other than make her completely crazy? Like they just, I don't know. It's like if it's a Sheila story, it's Sheila going bonkers. It's her going bonkers and then coming back and wanting redemption. That's it. They don't know how to do anything else with her. And so I wish that they could, because Kimberlyn Brown, the actress, is an amazing talent, and she deserves so much more story. But anyway, this is really about the Bold and the Beautiful. But that we get all that because of the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and this remake. There's nothing that's inspiring in this movie that's going to inspire anything like that. We're not going to see other stories uh, de- uh, get inspired from this particular movie. And it's lame. It's lame. The remake. It's just. I watched it for the novelty, for the interest of it, and I talked about it long enough. But that's because I just finished watching it, and less than entertained. I'm more offended by it. To be honest with you, it's so it feeds into the sexual phobia of same sex attraction. It really feeds into that way too much. You know, tries to keep it close to the vest, tries to be subtle in its exploitation, but it's so off the mark in the message that it's trying to give and that it's trying to send. So, um, it's a movie that does not care about its subject matter. Okay, that's it. Love and light, and have a good night. Peace.